Today is 884th day that I'm here to lessons I learn. I'm learning. I hope this will support your dreams. Your goals allow to become the person that you want to become. Today I speak about a phrase, and that phrase is eat the fish, spit out the bones. Eat the fish and spit out the bones. I have no idea if you have heard that, but it's such a beautiful phrase. I think that there's a profound message in that phrase. It's very, very simple, but it's profound. So today I want to really share my thoughts on what ideas I really gathered. I think that there's so much more in this phrase than I already understand, but I think that it's good to really start to reflect on this amazing phrase because it's relevant in every single area of our lives. Because every single area of our lives requires advices, requires input, and sometimes we don't need 100% of the input. We just need to take 10%, 90%, 50%. So we need to understand what are the meat and what are the bones from the advice. So today we'll share the ideas where we potentially be very, very careful, really not eating bones. Number one is advice from mentor. Now, it could be a mentor, it could be a friend, it could be anyone that could potentially give you advice. Because my mentor said that be very careful from whom you take advice. Look how they live. And if you don't like how they live, never take advice. Now, of course, understand like it depends on which area. If it's regarding life, because if you're building a skill set, sometimes the skill set you're still able to take advice. I understand that. But if you focus on life advice, and if someone is not living a good life, of course you're not supposed to take advice from the person who is giving you advice. And we need to ask ourselves as well, like, what are the really meat and what is the bones? Because every single person has opinion. It's the cheapest commodity of all. And they think that they're giving advice, but in general, they give them opinion. And we need to see, like, if that person has the fish, it has the bone. Because sometimes people just give bones away, and sometimes people just have just barely any bones. And we need to understand, like, what is valuable and what we're supposed to take in. Because a lot of times when people share and share and share, it might be that a person has something to say, and we're supposed to take that 5%, 10% of what he's saying, and get rid of all the 90% that really doesn't align with who we are. So be open to learn, because it's not that you don't like somebody, not able to learn from it. No, it's more of it. Is this person that has the success results in the field, and be able to really take something out of it. Because I really love saying that you're able to learn from somebody, from everybody. You're able to learn something from everybody, and it's a very powerful thing. Number two is feedback. Feedback on a lot of things. That it could be a project, it could be your speech. It could multiple things. Again, and then we need to reflect who is giving feedback at the beginning. Who is giving that feedback? Are they really have a credibility to give that feedback? This is very, very, very important things to ask. Because if you say, okay, this person is like expert, so of course we are very open to hear their feedback, their constructive feedback, to understand that what we're able to improve. And that, of course, we asking what aligns with me, because no one will understand exactly fully you. So being able to really understand what you're able to pick. Now, I understand that it depends on your level. When you start and you from the scratch, and the mentor comes in and tells you what to do, we're not supposed to question it. Just do exactly what he said to do. Because sometimes we don't know what you don't know, and when you start doing actions, we start to realize what the mentor said, what the feedback was for. But when you grow at some certain level and you don't have a person who doesn't have credibility tells you what to do, of course, then you need to become much, much more picky. Number three is reading a book. This again, like people say, like, oh, like I just don't have reading a book. So that means a lot of times speed reading is very, very important, because you just like most books has like 2% that are magical. People who spend 20, 30, 40 years gather something and put something beautiful in that book. But 2%, 5%, maybe 20% of the book are like extraordinarily important to understand. So really scrolling through that and really spitting all the bones of the book until you find those nuggets when you're able to implement, I think that's one of the best way to read it. And speed reading courses and really understanding how to read fast is very, very valuable, because it becomes much more efficient. Because sometimes some sentences really do not add as much value as you get finally into the real meat. of the fish. So it's very, very important to reading books, understanding that some areas is not as important. You're able to really use speed reading to really get through those. The next one that I would love to mention is that learning from a speaker. That means it could be that you are going to seminar or conference, or it could be anywhere. Like it could be a speaker that you listen that other person is speaking. Now, some people say that, oh, I don't agree with. He said that. He said this one that I don't like. Now that's it. I don't listen to the speaker because he said what I don't like. A lot of times people do that. For some reason, I'm guilty of that as well, man. I think that when I started my journey to grow myself, improve myself, I didn't know any better. So I used to judge people if they said something I don't like, and then that's it. This person is not that I'm supposed to listen to. But when I grew and improved, I started to realize that every single person, every single speaker has something beautiful to share. And that's what you're supposed to focus on. Look for that one beautiful thing that you have to share. Don't look onto all the things that they say that you don't agree with. That's the worst thing to do. The best part is to look for one thing that really could elevate you, to improve you, make you better, wiser, stronger, faster. And when you look for it, you always find it. You always find something, that one thing that you could potentially use in your life if you focus enough. I think that when you think about speakers, it might be, as I said, that some speakers will have so much beauty, so much great things, so much essence to share in their message, and you grab and grab, and you're barely able to grab everything. And some speakers just don't have just a little bit of bones and barely a little meat, and you just need to be more intentional finding that meat. But if you really looking for it, that a little bit of information could really transform someone's lives, because you're able to use that one small nugget to, because sometimes just one small nugget could transform and make a massive difference in every single life. And next one, I would love to look into criticism, so that by peers, like that means that people who are exactly your level, and they give you specific criticism. So, oh, you're not supposed to do that, or anything in between. This is a very, very powerful thing. We need to be open to criticism, and listen and ask how much truth in that, and how much is not. How aware they are, because we understand that it might be that they concern for real reasons, and when we are blocking something, because a lot of times we have blind spots. Every single person has blind spots. I have blind spots. You have blind spots. Every single person has blind spots. And do you have a friend who tells you what is your blind spots? Because if you don't, that means that maybe you need to look and really ask for people for those blind spots, and ask what you need to work on to improve. And I think that is very, very important to understand that, again, those things that we need to take the meat and throw out the bones that you don't need. The next one that I want to mention is focusing on participating in group discussions. And this is a very interesting thing as well, because when we think about group discussions, there will be a lot of people that you agree and a lot of people that you don't agree. And again, that's, I think that we're supposed to learn how to listen, how to really understand before being understood. Because I think that nowadays in certain areas, people really don't want to listen. They want to tell what they think, but really listening is something that is becoming a more and more valuable, really, skill set. Because when you understand how to listen, everyone wants to do this video. Because people who just tell, and they're really not willing to really sit down and listen. Because I think that one of the most important parts in life, and really making sure that everything is in, at least have at least some kind of common ground, is being able to sit down and being able to listen to something that you do not agree. That's very powerful, to sit down and really listening with a smile, something that you do not agree, and really asking yourself why I do not agree with it. Because when you start questioning yourself and really answering those questions by yourself, you become so much more committed to your argument. You become so much committed to really the truth. Because when you get angry when someone is questioning your beliefs, when you get angry when someone is questioning the things, the arguments that you have, most of the time the anger is coming that you are not having enough confidence in them yet. Because you're afraid that someone else will be able to convince you in other way. Because when you know the truth, and you fully know the truth, you are very calm and peaceful. Because you know that it doesn't matter what you say, I know the truth. And I think that the people who do not know the truth, who still struggling and barely they know the truth, and they just barely understanding the topic, then they are very, very angry. And if someone has something else against their truth, they just are not able to listen. So I think that listening is very, very important. And really, when we listen to other people, we really, again, taking the meat and spitting out the bones in discussions. Other thing that I would like to mention is that listening to personal development material. So it could be podcasts, YouTube, anything in between. Again, there's so much materials. Again, I think that we're supposed to always look into what do I need today, because I find that a lot of times people listening a lot of one by one podcasts and just flow with it. It's very, very important to nurture it and to develop your mindset. That's awesome. This is one of the best things to do. But I truly believe that one of the best ways to really develop is asking, what do I need today? What kind of skill sets, mindsets? What do I struggle now, and what kind of support I need in my life? Do I focus on money? Do I focus on health? Do I focus on resilience? What do I need specifically right now? Because at that moment, you're really able to look for podcasts who is teaching that topic, who is uncovering truths about the topic that you potentially struggling or want to improve. At that moment, you're able to use the fish that they are giving and take most out of it. Because if you're listening to podcasts that maybe it's not relevant for you specifically right now, that means that even though that material and fish is amazing, but it will take just a little bit because it's just not relevant for you. So I think that we need to be very intentional about the podcasts, YouTubes, and seminars, even books that we read, because I truly believe that it's very, very important to understand what we're working on, what kind of vision we are working on, what kind of problems we are working on, and really find the books, seminars, podcasts that really allows us to work on specifically the things that work on. Again, this requires you to self-reflection. It requires you to understand what is your vision. It requires you to understand what's your problems. So that means it requires you to sit down and understand who you are. But if you're able to really do that, I think that it opens doors, and you becoming much, much faster. That's why so many young people who achieve extraordinary success is people who are able to really work specifically in one niche only, or two niches, maybe three niches, but they focusing their time on specific things that moves the needle forward, rather than just nurturing all together all aspects of life. And I think that's it for today. But the number one thing that I really wanted to focus is that when we listen to someone, it could be a book, anyone, we're not supposed to disregard anyone, because we're able to learn something. It might be that someone just have majority of bones, and we said that if they have just bones, maybe ask like, if I'm not able to learn from this person in this specific topic. So, for example, if a person is sharing investment advice, even though that he's not an investment professional, maybe he is good in something else. Maybe he is good in parenting. Maybe he's good in something else. So maybe I'm able to ask question in his strength. This is very powerful because every single person has strengths. So we need to ask for advice in someone's strengths, because sometimes person who has PhD, very intelligent in some area, and they attack other people, and we potentially attach the smartness and intelligence of PhD in marketing as a very intelligent people in other things, and that's not true, because they lacking a lot of times in different areas because they invested in that marketing profession. So I think that we need to understand that when we take meat, when we eat fish, we need to understand that we need to eat fish from people's strengths. And that's the most important part. And spit out all the bones, because those things is not necessary and not aligning who we are and what kind of values we have. So I hope you choose to win, and see you tomorrow.